coming up tonight on Primetime Local News. Coverage of the 3rd anniversary rally at City Hall in support of Ukraine, and an update on Lakeland Rustlers teams over the weekend. Plus, our weekly edition of Retrospect.
It's so much fun to be able to read out these charges. Some of them are just hilarious.
Prime Time Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. My name is Randy Cormish and thank you for joining us. A rally was held outside City Hall in Lloydminster to mark the 3rd anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Many Ukrainian Lloyd residents, both descendants of Ukrainians and recent migrants, came out to show their support for the soldiers fighting over in Ukraine and to condemn Russia's actions.
We need to talk about it, to tell people for what is going on in Ukraine, because it's really worse every year, every day. Every day we lost some lives. We lost our children, kids. And it's so sad, and it's doing my heart broken.
Both Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians alike are encouraged to donate towards charities that support both citizens and soldiers living in war-torn Ukraine.
Donate. It's many different groups, official, you can do it. And if you can donate, you can share your voice. What do you think about it?
As the 3rd year of the Russia-Ukraine war begins, there is still hope from people all around the world for peace and freedom in Ukraine. The 21st annual Cutter Rally for Cancer was held on Saturday. The event had entertainment from Merle Tenney, and friends and guests participated in various activities such as a silent auction, raffles, sleighing, and horseback riding.
The connections that we're making within the horse community are fantastic, and then that reaches out into our greater community that are here to support the cancer aspect of it as well. So yeah, to me it's become a really important event for the whole Lloydminster area to participate in.
The funds raised from registration, sponsorships, and donations go to supporting cancer research, awareness, and initiatives.
It's just lots to come down and see and do this afternoon. And I do think it's a family event. Like, there's things for the kids to do, including a couple of the silent auction items that will be specifically for the little people to bid on. Yeah, it's just a good family day.
By combining fundraising efforts with their main attractions, the Cutter Rally for Cancer makes strides in the fight against cancer. The prairies might be subject to some very warm temperatures this week, but the fear of the cold returning is always on the horizon. Seasonal anxiety or seasonal affective disorder is a form of depression linked to changes in the weather, usually during these winter months. Michelle Hamilton, registered psychologist in Lloydminster, speaks to the normality of this type of depression.
For one thing, that level of extreme cold is life-threatening, and the potential for, real danger if something goes wrong in the cold is a pretty realistic threat in a sense. And so that's a pretty, realistic source of stress and concern for people.
There are many different coping strategies you can use for maintaining proper mental health throughout the winter.
With all sorts of anxiety issues, it's natural to avoid what we fear. And it is also so important for maintaining mental health to find ways to engage and sort of push through the fear and the avoidance and find ways to, sort of like face our fears or go anyway.
If you or someone you know needs someone to talk to, visit a local psychologist. It's time now for Retrospect. Here's Nick Hott.
This week on Retrospect, we travel back to 1999 for a look into the Early Childhood Intervention Program.
1, Raising a child is a difficult task no matter how you approach it. But for families with children suffering disabilities or those at risk of developmental delay, the task can be even more arduous. That's where the Early Childhood Intervention Program comes into play.
We just partner with the parents to help them to provide an in-home program for their children to help them reach their developmental milestones.
The program has been proven to produce positive educational, social, and economic returns for children by the time they reach school age.
We review the abilities of the child, what they can do well and what they can do not so well.
From there, parents choose 5 or 6 goals they want their children to accomplish, and a play therapy routine is devised. Children aren't the only ones who benefit, though. The whole process strengthens parenting skills and confidence as well.
Our program would not be successful without the involvement of the parents, because we provide home visits about once every 2 weeks or at the wishes of the parent. And while we're not there on our home visits, we're hoping that the parent can take the play activities that we involve the child and themselves in, and they can carry them out to reinforce some of the activities that we've introduced into their home.
Finding children to help is never a problem. Right now, there are about 100 youngsters province-wide waiting for a spot in the program, 40 of those right here in the Midwest.
It seems like we always have a full caseload. There's always a turnover, though, because, of course, our job is that once the child achieves their developmental milestones, then they're discharged from the program.
Early Childhood Intervention Week is aimed at celebrating the program and increasing awareness. The hope is that in the future, some of the 13,000 potential children under the age of 5 in need of the service might get the help they need. Shannon Fagan, NewsHour.
Next, we jump forward to 2002 for a look into a fun charity event called Arrest by Request.
You've been arrested, sir, for...
Joe Legacy wasn't the only one in handcuffs today, as residents all over the border city were arrested, and all for a good cause. It's called Arrest by Request, and it has been raising funds for Lloydminster's Kiwanis Club for the past 4 years.
Like I say, my goal is $7,000 is what we'd like to do this year. I know we did last year, and I'd like to surpass that goal. The 2 organizations that we have, and it's the same as has been the last previous years, is the Lloydminster Kiwanis Children's Music Festival, as well as the Santa's Kids at Christmas time in the schools. With your hand. You want to just ring it? Yeah, ring it up. Arrest by request.
The charge for the arrest is $1 a minute and a minimum of 20 minutes. Guilty locals who found themselves behind the bars were given free pizza and pop and didn't seem to mind serving the time.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. It's a great way to raise money for the community and the Kiwanis. It's a great idea.
Very good idea. I'd like to say I'm glad to be a part of it, but well, it's good.
It's wild. Everybody should get involved. It's super. Just a lot of fun.
It turned out to be another successful year for the annual fundraiser, and Kiwanis Club members are already anticipating the next.
I love it. I mean, it's so much fun to be able to read out these charges. Some of them are just hilarious.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a lot of fun, and you get some time off work, and for future, we'll do this every year.
And as for the ones arrested, plans for next year's revenge are underway.
I'll get even. Oh yeah, I will.
And I will get her back.
You are all charged.
Natalie Michaud, NewsHour.
And that's all for this week of Retrospect.
Retrospect is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Find New Holland products at Webb's Machinery, your dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, Lamont, Wainwright, St. Paul, and Consulate.
We'll have more primetime local news after the break. Abby St. John is back at Border Paws Animal Shelter for our weekly edition of Pet Project.
I'm back at Border Paws Animal Shelter for our weekly edition of Pet Project, a day early, but still the same nonetheless. And today we have the Dark Knight, Batman. He is just the sweetest boy, just roaming around. Not a huge fan of being held, but he is still sweet nonetheless. So tell me about his story, how he came to be, and what you think his best fit would be.
So he really likes other cats. He hasn't really been tested with dogs too much, but he is a sweet boy. He loves being pet. You might notice that he's missing part of his ear. He came to us with a little bit of a case of frostbites. He was a stray before, but he is just overall a lovely boy.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about his personality and what people could possibly expect for welcoming him into their home.
He's very vocal. He likes to make a lot of noise. He definitely loves his snacks. He loves his treats like most cats do. But he's very curious, very sweet. He loves getting pets. Regular stuff.
But a Toboko cat, like, he'll come to you when he wants his pets.
Exactly,
he truly is sweet. He's just roaming around. He's exploring. So would you recommend a home of his own, or would he be fine with other animals?
He would be okay with other cats.
And dogs, not so much.
Dogs we haven't really tested him with. He was in like our cuddle room where all the other cats were, and he did really well in there. But the only reason why we moved him is because he does have a chicken allergy.
Okay.
So he does have a bit of a sensitive tummy with that.
So just something to keep in mind if they're looking at Batman for a potential cat, that there are just a few dietary restrictions that he has, but it doesn't shake him being an absolute sweetheart.
Absolutely.
Now, going off onto the event, you recently had the steak night at Cheers. We had been talking about it for a couple of weeks, and it happened. Tell me how it went, as it did take place all day.
Yeah, so it went really well. There was about over 40 tickets sold, which is super exciting. The silent auction, it finished last night, so people should be able to pick up their silent auction items in the near future here. But yeah, it was really great. It was awesome.
Wonderful. It's always nice to see those kind of events become a success.
Exactly.
Now, a new event that is coming up on March 8th is a spa day for your animals. Tell me about what that is and what people can expect from it.
So basically we have a registered massage therapist joining us, and she's going to be giving animal massages. So there's also going to be like nail trims from registered vet tech, and then like a relaxation brush.
And so if those are interested in this event, is it for their animals, for their pets? How do they, is there a sign up? Do you register? What sort of thing?
Just drop in. Easy peasy. It'll be at the BCMI hotels. And then yeah, you just basically come in and get your pet pampered.
Wonderful. Now, same question as every week. What are the donations that you're in need of?
Kitten food and kitten milk replacer. Those are always going to be big ones, especially coming up around this time of year. We've already had a couple of little ones on our doors, so it's definitely important to keep them fed. Cleaning supplies like bleach, we're always in need of that. And then same with chicken-free cat food for cats like Batman.
Yes, of course. Well, wonderful. Thank you again for joining me as always. And Batman, he's such a curious cat, and he's just so sweet that he will make the perfect addition to any household.
Oh, he's adorable. He looks like a little mouse with his ears.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Musician Steve Hill is bringing his tour to the prairies next month. Stacey Commerce spoke with the musician, who describes himself as a one-man band.
I'm joined today by a special guest on Primetime Local News. Steve Hill is here. Steve is bringing his tour to our neck of the woods in both Saskatoon and Edmonton, coming up here shortly. Steve, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, as I said, you are going to be doing a tour that's coming out this way. It's the Hanging on a String tour, which is named after the album of the same name. So let's start out by talking about the album. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was recorded in January last year at Dave Grohl's Studio 606 in Los Angeles. And it's a one-man band record. I'm a one-man band. I'm known as a guitar player. I'm a singer, but I'm also a one-man band, and I did the whole thing like that, which means I play drums at the same time as I'm playing guitar. I modified my guitars. I have a drumstick on the guitar's headstock, and I'm standing on two pedals I play the bass drum and the snare drum like that, and I also modified my guitar so that you hear bass when I'm playing. So the whole thing was recorded live in the studio, recorded in 5 days last year, and it came out November 1st. And so I'm touring the West Coast from March 5th or March 6th until the 17th, and I haven't been there in about a year and a half, and it'll be good to come back on the West Coast and the prairies.
So why the one-man band, Steve? Why don't you make it a little bit easier on yourself and get some other people to help out?
Well, just like anything good in my life, it came out of it. It's an accident, you know. Like I had about 6 albums out, and I signed a deal with a label that didn't do much, and I released an album that basically tanked. And I had just become a partner in the studio, so I had huge bills every month and not enough money coming in. So I gave a list of smaller clubs to my agent back in the day, and places where I used to play. You know, I told him book some solo shows. And at night, I used to live right on top of the studio. So, and the studio wasn't booked. You know, I thought the studio had clients, but they had no clients. But the good thing was that the studio was available. So I'd go down to the studio at night and I'd record stuff on my own. And these tracks ended up on an album called Solo Recordings Volume 1, which came out in 2012, got a Juno nomination. And it put me back on the map. You know, it sold more than the 6 albums I had done before, and I did over 150 shows with that album. And then I did Volume 2, and that Volume 2 won the Juno 10 years ago, and it also won like 7 Maple Blues Awards. And then I did Volume 3, and I'm still doing it. I thought I'd do it for about a year, pay off the credit cards, but like 13 years later, and I'm still a one-man band, and I really enjoy it. It's hard work, but it pays off, you know?
So you are going to be out here, Steve, March 6th in Edmonton and March 7th in Saskatoon. So when people attend those shows, what can they expect?
Well, it's you know, I play blues rock. I've done bluesier stuff in the past. This album is really is a rockin' record, but the blues roots are still there. So there's a bit of blues, there's rock and roll, it's high energy. And you know, it's a rocking show. Don't expect traditional blues. You know, that's not what I do. You know.
So after this tour, are we seeing another volume come out then, or have you thought that far ahead?
I'm always working on the next record. You know, basically you put out an album, and you know I have to start writing stuff. So I've been practicing for the tour for the past month in my studio, and I have like 4 or 5 different song ideas that I'll work on while I'm on tour. And I still have a bunch of shows in Quebec right until I'm playing Toronto on April 19, and then I got some time off, so I'll start recording the next album and release some singles. You know, the album is like, you know, the kids these days, they don't really listen to albums. You know, nobody has the attention span, and nobody has the time to listen to a whole album. So it's mostly songs. So I'm gonna release a bunch of songs over the next year, which will eventually be part of an album.
Well, Steve, it sounds exciting and your show sounds amazing. If people are looking for more information, either on tickets or just on you yourself and your music, what's the best place to find that?
SteveHillMusic.com.
All right.
And I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff.
Everywhere, pretty much. Well,
Yep.
Steve, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. We can't wait
Thank
to
you,
see you when you
Stacey.
come out this way here. Just a few weeks and you'll be here. So once again, that's
Yes.
March 6th in Edmonton and March 7th in Saskatoon. Steve, a pleasure speaking with you and good luck with the tour.
Thank you so much.
The 2025 ACAC Women's Volleyball Championships was held this weekend in Camrose, and the Lakeland Rustlers women's team was looking for a three-peat. The team from Lloydminster came into the weekend with a 19-0 record while finishing first in the North standings. Their first game saw them take on the Sate Trojans. A close first set saw the Rustlers down 1-0, but they bounced back in the next 3 sets, winning convincingly, 25-14, 25-12, and 25-9. The semifinals against the RDP Queens once again saw the Rustlers lose the first set, 29-27. But again, Lakeland impressed in the next 3 sets by taking down the Queens in 4 sets to book a spot in the championship game. Their opponent in the finals was the hometown team, the Augustana Vikings. But the Rustlers weren't going to lose the opportunity to three-peat as they took down the Vikings in 3 sets to win the championship. The team will now head to Oshawa, Ontario to compete in the Nationals that take place from March 5th to 8th. Lakeland College hosted the ACAC Men's Volleyball Championships for the first time this past weekend. With a wrap on the weekend, here is our Thomas Wildman.
It was a great weekend of volleyball with a lot of great teams, but eventually only 2 remained. The top team in the country, the Red Deer Polytechnic Kings, and their rivals, the Lethbridge Polytechnic Kodiaks. The first 2 sets were very close, with the Kings winning the first set and the Kodiaks winning the second. In the third and fourth set, the Kings would get out to early leads, and the Kodiaks couldn't catch up in either set, as the Red Deer Polytechnic Kings would win the ACAC Championship.
It's been a great year for our team. 1 loss, ranked number 1 in the country, but we've had a target on our back kind of all year long. Red Deer Polytechnic, and prior to that, Red Deer College has been pretty successful in men's volleyball. So we know that we're going to get most teams best, and this group in particular really relishes in that. I'm really happy that our season's not over yet, and looking forward to trying to bring it all home in a couple weeks here.
The championship MVP, Brett Tyzee, has been with the team for 5 years and is excited to be heading to Nationals in Nearville, Manitoba.
My first year we lost in the semifinal at Nationals, and we've been fighting to get back there, so I'm just really excited to go and win it all.
And that will do it for the first ever ACAC Men's Volleyball Championships hosted here at the Lakeland College Gymnasium. For Primetime Local News, I'm Thomas Wildman.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Randy Cormish, and have a great rest of your day.